So I've actually been wanting to talk about this for a long time, but a recent community post I made, sparked some newfound motivation, I guess. In this video, I want to discuss what makes people so adverse to religious satire, or really anything poking fun at or quote-unquote mocking religion. I'm going to be more broadly talking about any criticism or joking being pointed at religion a bit, as well as pointing out some satire made towards my side of the aisle that I personally enjoy. So let's just get into the video. So for a bit of context, I have a hobby of recreating classic art with furries. I think it's funny, my boyfriend likes to give me prompts for it, and about a year ago I made a furry Last Supper, in which friends and folks from my Discord server all used the original painting as a sort of your character here, and the food on the table was replaced with red Solo cups and things of weed. Because people got so up in arms about the Dionysus, I hope I'm saying that right, thing at the Olympics, thinking it was the Last Supper, I kind of revived that drawing a bit on TikTok, and it prompted me to make another satirical drawing of my fursona in place of Jesus in the painting Christ Crucified, since he was sitting in Jesus' spot in the original painting. Quite a few Christians saw this and were mad, saying it was a mockery, that it's not that hard to respect their religion, and that I wouldn't like it if trans people were satirized in that way. Literally all of these things were just ridiculous to me, frankly, though shout out to the one Christian who was able to take the joke. The repeated comments that I wouldn't appreciate if trans issues were satirized got me thinking, though, because I actually don't have an issue with that at all. One of my favorite episodes of South Park is The Sissy, an episode where Cartman fakes being a trans girl because the boys' bathroom is disgusting. He's given his own special bathroom that he goes absolutely overboard with getting them to upgrade, and then Wendy, the kind of social justice-y girl, fakes being a trans boy just to piss him off and use his bathroom. And, of course, the whole I am Lord, Randy being Lord subplot, I believe originating from that episode, which is a personal favorite South Park gag of mine. I love that episode. I think it's hilarious, and at least from my perspective, the conclusion was ultimately kind of just mind your own damn business and don't be a dick. South Park also satirizes atheists, mind you. I won't go into another plot synopsis, but that's another personal favorite of mine. Hell, one of my favorite TV shows is Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, a comedy musical about a woman with BPD that I talked about at length in my disability and media video. The point of that being, I think most people are able to laugh at their own issues and struggles outside of religion. I haven't really seen any trans people get mad at the episode The Sissy, nor any other people with BPD be mad at the over-the-top representation of BPD in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Why is religion so different? It's almost impossible to find any piece of media satirizing religion that doesn't have at least some backlash, whether that's a small YouTuber's community post or the literal Olympics, which, again, I'll remind you, weren't even actually based on Christianity. I've talked about this aspect of it before, but I'm going to reiterate it here because I do believe it's one of the reasons. When the foundation of a belief, whether that's religion, a conspiracy theory, or Young Living essential oils, is fragile, people become much more reactive to anything that may challenge it. While I don't believe all satire of religion is inherently challenging by nature, and I certainly don't believe my silly little furry painting was, it does always present the idea that someone finds your beliefs worthy of ridicule. And in some cases, it does present actual challenges to them, such as my all-time favorite Broadway show, The Book of Mormon, making comparisons of the Book of Mormon itself to teenagers essentially making things up that pertain to the group they're trying to convert, or even comparing it to Star Wars at points. And another song listing what Mormons believe, interspersing very out-there ideas in their theology in between pretty milquetoast Christian theology. But regardless of if the satire is making legitimate commentary or if it's just an unserious joke about the beliefs, it rattles that in-group, out-group mindset, good information and bad information, that holds those flimsy foundations up. It reminds you that there are people outside your beliefs and that they have a reason for that. Beliefs that hold very little weight in actual evidence and reality often rely on emotional and social manipulation in order to keep people a part of them. Often not consciously, to be fair, but things such as indoctrination, presenting things outside the group as worldly, the idea that outsiders need to be saved, that certain media, such as secular music or shows like South Park, Always Sunny, or hell, probably even The Good Place, will corrupt you and make you stray from God. Control tactics like purity culture, dietary restrictions, certain mandatory prayer times, Mormon garments, etc., to keep your mind focused on your beliefs and make them present at all times when they wouldn't be otherwise. These things are used instead of actually just presenting good and valid arguments and evidence. Satire of these things not only reminds them that there are people who see their beliefs as worthy of ridicule and criticism, but it turns on a sort of defense mode in a lot of people. I discussed this in another video that while the phrase respect my religion comes off as rather harmless and mundane, I personally only think that's the case due to its commonality and normalization. While of course there are instances where someone is being genuinely cruel and hateful and phrases like that are justified, it's more often used when someone is presented with arguments that counter their own worldview, or yes, when there is satire. It's a socially acceptable form of thought-stopping techniques for the believer that relies on everyone around them at least giving a small amount of validity to their beliefs by asserting that they are inherently worthy of respect and exempt from the criticism and mockery thrown around at pretty much any other belief system such as politics. To agree that criticism and satire is not allowed in this specific area, you have to agree with the social norm that religion is in its special little category above other people's opinions on things like politics, medicine, social justice, diet choices such as veganism or the like. That these things are generally accepted to be okay to joke about and criticize, but religion is special and above that. But no one ever actually seems to provide a reason that's applicable to those outside the religion that it actually is somehow fundamentally different and therefore deserving of being left alone from being challenged in any way, whether that's satire or serious criticism. It always seems to boil down to some version of it's blasphemous, which is not something that's applicable to people who are outside their beliefs. I have no moral or theological reason to believe that blasphemy is actually bad, or that your God actually exists to have any particular feelings about my thoughts on it, or that it's not hurting you, which is frankly untrue, and I've gone into enough times to fill maybe 2 Bibles, so I'll leave it there. But I don't agree with their presupposed social norm that religion gets a pedestal where it can be left alone, never mocked, never satirized, never given legitimate criticism, and I don't believe my own social groups or ideologies are above that either, mind you. This social expectation is one that's built entirely off of religious folks being the majority for pretty much all of human history, and as such having direct control over what is and isn't appropriate in public life. It was built to maintain that level of social and emotional control that's required for people to subscribe to outlandish ideas. I had no hand in creating that social expectation, and I do not agree with the beliefs of the people who built it nor the people who currently uphold it. I've never been presented with a compelling reason that it should exist. It always relies on me finding some level of value in their beliefs, whether or not I agree with them, and if I did see value in those beliefs, I wouldn't be joking about it or criticizing it the way I do in the first place. The idea that everyone around you must give some respect to your religion in a way that's never expected of any other idea or belief is frankly entitled. You are not entitled to an echo chamber. While I believe respecting people's right to be religious and respecting their own personal autonomy to make that choice is important, I don't believe that that applies to the beliefs themselves. Respecting a person and their right to independent thought and autonomy does not equate to having a respect for the system they have chosen to align themselves with. Criticizing religion and the way it impacts its followers' actions and thought processes in no way infringes on their right to practice that religion. I and anyone else am just as justified in criticizing religion as we are to criticizing opposing politics, to making political comics, to make satire of those beliefs like The Boys, Kill a Kill, or Always Sunny in Philadelphia. While, of course, political satire receives backlash from those it mocks, it's never the same indignant, you can't criticize me because I am above that, remove this right now, kind of response. It's a more normal anger, well, you're wrong actually, and here's why, than an insistence that the media should be barred from ever existing in the first place, and to propose the idea of it at all is some great misdeed and persecution. To sum shit up, religion is not special. You are not entitled to an echo chamber, or to have everyone around you agree that your religion has some inherent value. The idea that religion is above mockery, satire, and criticism relies on everyone universally agreeing that religion at least has some value, and at most that it has truth, and therefore is undeserving of being put under a microscope. But not everyone agrees with that, and you're not entitled to force everyone to agree. If you want to maintain your bubble, I wish you the best of luck in escaping that, but ultimately it's your choice. But it does not mean you get to control what others create. It's your own personal job to maintain that echo chamber and no one else's. Thank you for watching, guys. Ha de.
The children think too much, they've hardly a fear of God, always asking questions they should only wish away.